Hi, this is Nancy D'Agostino, and today I'm going to be drawing a scene from The Lion King. Okay, so here we go. This is the sketch that I've chosen. It is a beautiful drawing from The Lion King. Here we have Simba and his dad, and there's a lot of warmth in this picture. When I look at it, I feel that although it's been done in grey lead pencil, it's still got a lot of warmth. It's still got a lot of flow through it. It almost feels and looks very velvety. In saying that, what I would probably suggest is drawing the paws first. You'd want to have a line there, and you'd want those paws to be evenly drawn in there. So if I start the drawing and I have got those paws in there, the next thing I'm going to want to do is to make sure that the top of that nose is here. So let's just draw that in there. And then we've got the eyes that are around about here. They start around about there, the eyes. So I'm gonna kind of try to get those eyes in the right place as well. And I also want to be able to have this line here balance the father of the cub as well. So now that I've got that little bit there, let's get started. So we've got here this section here, which is this little line here. So I'm going to start with that today, and I'm going to bring that here. So if we had a line here, we automatically can see that we need this to come out a bit, even a bit more, and then curving it all the way back to about there. So pretty much we've got our first two lines, and they're going to help me to get the rest of this right. So once I've got that, then I know that this line here needs to start coming down like that, and it needs to also come all the way back up and kind of curve like that. Something like that. I could even bring it down a bit lower if needed, like that. Okay, and then we have here, we've got this line here, which kind of comes down like that. Now, once we get that, we're ready to draw the fingers in. So we kind of want those fingers to come from here and kind of come all the way up like that. And then we've got the second one, which is here, like that. And then we've got the third one, that's here like that. And then we've got our last one, which is here, like that. And as you can see, I've almost run out of room there by enlarging it a little bit, but we get most of it, so that's okay. And then we come to this side here. Now, before I can draw these in, I need this section to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to allow this to happen first, because I've already got this line here. So from there, I'm going to bring that over this way here, and I'm going to try and curve it somehow like that. So I've got that, and now from here we've got to bring it all the way up, something like that. So this is a little bit more tricky than the other one we did. So now back to here, we need to be able to finish this. So we've got this going down a little bit lower, and this one here, it's not as low. So from about there, we're going to bring that sort of this way here, but we've still got to draw the nose in. So from here, we're going to take that nose all the way to around about there, and we're going to do the same here. We're going to bring it out to about there, go right over, and then bring it down with a nice bend over here, and bring it all the way back up, and then that nice curve there, so that it ends beautifully. Okay, oops, there goes my page again, so excuse me for a minute. Definitely are getting little bursts of wind coming and going, so I might just have to put that back there to hold it down. Always handy to have something that holds things down. Okay, and then once we've actually got that, it's going to be a lot easier to fill that in, but we're not worried about filling it in yet. We're worried about this side here. So what we want to do is keep all the fingers around about there. We have increased the size of this drawing. So now we are going to start with that. There's obviously a bit of shading there, and then we are going to bring it all the way around like that. And we are going to do the same here. It's a little bit more squared with a curve, and then again here, and again there. Now I can't see that last finger, so I could imagine it and draw it in. That is optional, and by doing that we end up with the 4 fingers like it is there. But at the moment I'm just going to leave it as is. So all right, so get back to here. We've got now this line here, but it is on an angle, so let's just angle that like this. And remember, when we get started on a drawing, especially something that's a little bit more complex, don't rush it. It's the beginning that is the hardest. Once we get going, it gets a lot easier. So that's the great part about it. All right, so we're here. Now we can see that there's like a squarish rounded corner square going on here. So just really, really lightly, because we've got to work out pencil grain as well, and we don't want to be going too hard and then not be able to adjust it. Okay, so we're going to go like that, kind of like that, and we no longer need this line in here, so I'm going to remove that now. It doesn't need to be there. And just get back to there. Okay, and that one's there. All right, so we've done that. We've got here the nostrils, which can now be drawn in quickly. And again, on this side here, we have this area here. So now we can see that it needs to reach all the way to there, which is about here. So now the adjustment can be made on this part here, and we need to allow this to kind of go like that. So I'm going to remove that little bit of a line there and that little bit there, and all of a sudden I've adjusted the shape a little bit more precisely. So we've got that going on there, and now I can also draw in this nostril here, which is something like that. It's a lot smaller than the other side. Okay, so we've got all that. We know that we're going to have a bit of shading and stuff here. We'll get back to that later, just so that I've got that in there and I remember. Okay, so all of that is done. Whiskers, we do them last, and we need to now work this upwards. So now that we've got this line here, we need to take this line from about here, and we need to bring it right up to where the eyes are. So whereabouts are the eyes going to be on this? Well, they were about here somewhere. So we're starting around about the top of that eye was about there. Okay, so let's go back to here. So we're following it in as much detail as we can without overdoing it. So from here, we've got that, but we've got to get this nose right. So now from about there, we've got to take the nose up to about here, and we can adjust that a little bit later. And we've got to take this one to here, roughly somewhere there. It is rounded, so let's round it a little bit. Once we get that, then we know here we've got another section that goes a little bit like that, preparing for that eye, and it's got to have the eyebrows, and then from there it kicks nicely in and comes all the way back down to about there on the nose. And we've got to make sure that where that finishes here, the eyebrow, that's kind of where the eye begins, the eye area. So we've got the eyelash that comes down like that. Got another section in there. Actually, that one there needs to come up a little bit more, so I'm just going to remove that. Okay, so from here, from there, I can see that that line is done, but the next one is there. So what I want to do is take it from there and take it to there, and then we've got the inner section, and that's going to be shaded in. So I'll just shade it a little bit so I know which part I'm shading already from here. this eyebrow needs to have a little bit more detail in it, so I'm just doing that. Okay, then we get to this side here. Now, what I can see from this drawing is, in order to get the drawing to be similar or the same, we need to allow that space between the eyes. So already I can see that this line looks right, but it just doesn't work for me as well, even though this line here looks right as well. So what I need is to get that distance from here, which is this line here. How far would we go? So remember, we had this line here, which is kind of about there. Now, how far does that line curve over? It curves over all the way to about here, believe it or not. So that line there now has to adjust and come from there to there. So I would say now, I take it from there. But I can also see that it's starting a little bit further out. So that's where I'm compromising that curve, and I'm going to have to bring it out a bit more. Okay, so now that I've got that, you can quickly see here that there is a very light line going on there. There's also something going on there. And we now here have this section here, which also needs a little adjustment. So now I can rub that out and I can take it from wherever it's got to go. So here we can see there's a line there. And where that line crosses over here, that's where we begin. So we're aligning everything up. So from there, we're coming out a little bit like that. We're bringing it down, and then we're bringing it across. And that gives us that line there. Okay, so now that we have that, we need to add the eye in, and we know that the eye sits around about there. So we'll bring that line out, and we're going to take it from there, and we are going to bring it out from the bottom first. Okay, like that, something like that. And then we've got to meet from the top all the way up and over. So this part here does need to form the eye socket, and then we have another area on top, which is the eyelid. And then again, we are going to add in the eye, which from this angle is bigger than the other side, and bring that in. There's a little circle there to show a sparkle or twinkle in the eye, and we are going to color that in. So now we have a better proportioned drawing, because everything's matching up where it needs to be. And you've got to remember, we're drawing freehand. We're not aligning everything with, you know, squares all over the page and whatever. It is quite a difficult drawing. It would have taken weeks and months to create this character to look like this. And although we're only copying it, we still need to be able to incorporate all those elements in it. Now, when I look at this overall, it's looking okay, but here we've got an area here which I feel that this part here doesn't allow that curve to happen nicely the way it is there. So I'm going to bring that all the way out and not compromise that curve. And by giving that, I now have the balance that I wanted to achieve in proportion. And just that one line has made such a big difference. I'm removing this line because I no longer need it. I no longer need that line there or that one. And pretty much that part is all done. Okay, so now we're moving up. So we get to about where the eyebrow is here, and we've got to add in, like we have here, we've got to add in the detail of that eyebrow. So let's bring it up, down, let's bring it across. Yep, and like that. And we know that that eyebrow doesn't need to come out so much. So what I'm gonna try and do is keep it a little bit more tight. I'm finding this grey lead is a little bit dark for my liking, but I've started with it and I'm just gonna keep going with it. So again, we've got that, and I probably would want to run that line and then blend. Okay, which we're going to do later when we're finishing it off.